Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? We are calling it iPhone.
Hey, what's up everyone? Daniel here from Never Enough Tech. What I aim to do in this video is get a little nerdy and review the big picture and some of the smaller details maybe you didn't know, or perhaps may have gotten a little since you last checked in. So I'll be going over what I think we we know. I salute the sacrifices by the likes of Front Page Tech, Max Weinbach, Ben Geskin, EverythingApplePro, Ming Chi Kuo, Ross Young, Fudge. Okay, it's not a Oscar speech. I guess what I mean to say is,
many Bothans died to bring us this information.
So first things first. Many sources are confident that 4 new iPhone 12s are on their way. I'm old enough to remember when we could just get excited about the one new iPhone. The iPhone 5 released fall 2012. Well, those days are far behind us. So here's the iPhone lineup. Number 1. iPhone 12 5.4-inch screen with an introductory price of $649. Number 2, the iPhone 12 Max with a 6.1-inch screen starting at $749. The storage options for these are 128 and 256 gigabytes. Expect to pay an extra $100 for the 256. My take is that we don't really know how these two non-Pro models will be named. Clearly, logic dictates that the 5.4-inch is more mini than the 6.1-inch is max, as the iPhone 11 had a 6.1-inch screen size. To be clear, the 5.4-inch model is the freak here. Why are we so scared to say it out loud? You're a freak, iPhone 12 5.4-inch. And in my humble opinion, you should get the SE moniker, or some other funny name. Freak! I'm gonna get banned. I'm sure I can expect another warning on my account. Nonetheless, the experts are naming these two iPhones 12 and 12 Max respectively, so I will fall in line as not to incite mass chaos and confusion. Moving on to the Pro models. Number 3, the iPhone 12 Pro, 6.1-inch, introductory price of $999. Number 4, the iPhone 12 Pro Max, 6.7 inches, starting at $1,099. Just to bring in some more context, the iPhone 11 Pro screen sizes are 5.8 and 6.5 inches respectively, so a 0.3-inch bump on the Pro, and a 0.2-inch bump on the Pro Max. Storage options for the Pros reportedly range from 128 to 512 gigabytes. Put aside an extra $100 for the 256 gigabytes, and another $200 on top of that for the 512 gigabytes, maxing out at $1,500. Okay, well if you have been paying attention at all, you know I have still just barely scratched the surface on the iPhone 12 leaks. So many details, where to start? How about going over the upgrades all 4 models are expected to receive? Goodies for everyone, we all get a car. Number 1, a major redesign. Most of this information can be attributed to Front Page Tech, Max Weinbach, and Fudge. All 4 iPhone 12 models are expected to have a design language consistent with the iPhone 5 and 5S, and the 3rd and 4th generation iPad Pros. Stepping away from the design we have been accommodating for the last 6 years. So this one, and 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 this one, they're all the same. Not really as many changes from the outside as you might expect. Though I am grateful for these surfboards for bringing in the era of iPhones or Mr. McCrabhands. That's right, Apple is jumping back into the square device game. Glass, flat stainless steel frame with rounded corners, and a metal back. The 4 years that the iPhone had the stainless steel frames were the steamiest years, right? Am I right? I'm pretty sure I'm right. So steamy. Think it might be warming up a little bit. I think these beautiful renders do the iPhone 12 justice way better than I can describe, but I'll overlay some fun facts about the looks. Expect the rear lenses to be about 5% bigger. Everyone loves big, beautiful eyes. The notch is expected to shrink by about a third based on leaked schematics. This will be enabled by moving the speaker up into the bezel. The remaining notch components will support the True Depth camera system, which enables Face ID. The power button will be moved down a bit. I know I have been victim of more than a few unintended screenshots. This shift might help a bit. On the other hand, it will be harder to grip or mount from the side without activating Siri. Or turning off the phone. Oh Lord, Or calling the police. Okay, I think I just forgot how much I miss having the power button on the top of the phone. It never got in my way up here. Remember the head jack used to be up here too? It makes me want to take a selfie, post my Harlem Shake dance video to Vine, and take my first Uber to grab some self-serve froyo. Also expect thicker antenna lines and a less protruded camera bump. The latter should help protect the camera module in case of a whoopsie. Number 2, all 4 models will get the new A14 Bionic chip. This is a hexa-core 6-core chip with expected clock speeds of up to 3.1 GHz, built on TSMC's 5nm technology. As you can see here, all the numbers went in the right direction relative to the A13. The reported Geekbench scores for the A14 are, let's say, encouraging. This will not be a Z Bionic type upgrade. Here is a comparison between what we think is the iPhone 12 and some more recent Apple products. With ARM edging into higher-end laptop territory, it's looking quite promising that even larger ARM chips, slated for the Macs, will be able to not only compete, but eclipse their Intel competitors. Number 3, each device is getting an OLED display. This means no more of this Mr. Foggy Bottom backlight, just these inky blacks. Lots more detail on how these 4 models' screens will vary a little later. It's a bit of a saga, don't jump off quite yet. Number 4, EverythingApplePro in conversations with Max Weinbach claims that Face ID will work at more extreme angles, making it that much easier to unlock your phone during conversations without anyone knowing. Another Face ID True Depth camera improvement is the ability to lock the screen orientation to the user's face orientation, so apps don't flip when you decide it's just too much effort to keep using the app upright. Maybe expect this feature next year. Some rumored camera improvements coming to all 4 models include supercharged smarter HDR, particularly in low light, obviously leveraging increased processing power of the A14. There are also whispers of a night mode in the front camera. Maybe don't bet your house pet favorite thing on that one coming this year. As I mentioned, all rear lenses are getting about 5mm wider. This change will help the poor little sensors capture more light, providing more of a natural boost in low light scenarios. I hope this means there will be larger sensors to accompany the larger lenses. You really want to give pixels some space for banger pictures. Did I use banger right? There's also talk of Apple working on a macro mode for the ultra wide camera, giving the camera something like a 2cm minimum focusing distance. So a little side note, never thought why a lens that takes pictures of itty bitty things like bugs is called macro. It's because it makes the micro macro. The more you know. Number 5, each model is expected to get at least partial 5G support. More details coming up. Number 6, Apple Rumors tweeted all models will be getting an 18-watt USB-C fast charger. This would certainly be welcomed. These chunky 18-watt chargers really do charge your phone much faster than the 5-watt bricks. They're just handy. I can see at least 3 people not getting excited. Okay, so that wraps up what all the phones will have in common. So how will the Pros justify their up to $450 premium price? Yes, all models are getting OLEDs, but the Pros are getting more uppity OLEDs. How so? Ross Young of Display Supply Chain Consultants reports the Pro models are keeping the Super Retina XDR Extreme Dynamic Range moniker from the iPhone 11 Pros, but the screens will be improved. The new screens, which will continue to be provided by Samsung, will be getting a brightness boost for a new max of at least 1,000 nits. It seems the new OLEDs will be stealing a lot of the technology from Apple's XDR computer monitors. Long story short, your Pro model screen is not going to look like. The two Pro models in the iPhone 12 are also expected to get a screen touch layer integration onto the display itself. The benefit of combining these two layers is that it saves space, making room for a larger battery or allowing the device to be slimmer. It was originally reported by Prosser that the iPhone 12 screens would be supplied only by BOE without an integration touch layer. Obviously, Ross disputes this. That's some beefy tech drama. In addition, the two Pro models are expected to get a 120Hz ProMotion display that will make moving content look much smoother and buttery like the iPad Pro. Well, maybe this is not quite the slam dunk we may have thought earlier. Young reports that enabling technology, low temperature polycrystalline oxide or LTPO, is not making its way to the iPhone 12s. LTPO would allow for a higher refresh rate without severely taxing the battery. Seems it takes a lot of work to get all those pixels moving around. The Apple Watch Series 5 has LTPO for its always-on display. The iPad can perhaps get away with ProMotion without LTPO, as the iPad can support a much bigger battery. Since we are probably not seeing LTPO this year, if we're seeing ProMotion at all, we will likely have a number of limitations, meaning perhaps that it would only be functional a fraction of the time. But maybe not when using Excel or sexting or looking into the void that is TikTok. Expect a big ol' symbolic asterisk. Asterisk? Asterisk. Asterisk. I bet none of you pronounce it right. Asterisk. If this feature is announced. On top of your maybe sometimes 120Hz display, the Pro displays will support 10-bit color depth, up from 8 bits. We could have a whole video on this feature alone, but what this means is that each pixel can express over 1,000 brightness levels for each of its red and green and blue components. And when you get 1,000 plus times 1,000 plus times 1,000 plus, well, you are well over a billion. But with 8-bit depth with 256 levels for red, green, and blue, you are only at a measly 16.7 million. So look for, but you might have to squint for greater color accuracy and smoother gradients. I see 10-bit as being one of these enhancements you get used to very quickly, maybe without even knowing there was an enhancement. And then you go back to your old phone and just immediately puke on it. I tend to feel this way about phones without True Tone. Ugh. I dare you to turn off True Tone. No! But seriously, True Tone is kind of dope. Here are the screens and the expected pixel dimensions coming from DisplaySupplyChain.com. The pixels per inch, or PPI, range from 475 to 458, getting less dense as the iPhone gets bigger. If this chart holds up, the 5.4-inch version will have the most pixel-dense screen by 15 PPI. Number 2, cameras, plural. From what I can tell, the predictions are maybe least firm in this area, as Apple may just be finalizing decisions. The cameras are complex, y'all, but a number of the rumors out there are intriguing. Most of this information comes from Prosser, Weinbach, and Ming Chi Kuo. The biggest change, and the one we are most sure about from a rumors perspective, is the addition of a LiDAR scanner, limited to the Pro models. It's no secret that LiDAR will revolutionize AR on the iPhone by enabling far more accurate modeling of the user's three-dimensional environment. For AR characters and objects to be truly convincing, they need to be able to react with real surfaces. Jump off furniture, step in front and back of objects, and have it look real. LiDAR will help with all of this. I imagine by the time the iPhone 12 is released, there will be at least a handful of applications that will make, if not entertaining, at least impressive use of LiDAR in Apple's latest AR kit. Along with other AR development tools I'm confident will be released at WWDC. Maybe having LiDAR on your phone will push the popularity of AR on your iPhone forward. I think it could benefit from a little excitement, as my understanding is that on average, 0 people use AR apps on the phone and less than 0 on the iPad, as no one wants to hold their phone up just to see a tiny little mixed reality world. I should say a mixed reality world that's totally glitchy and doesn't really work that well. I imagine AR data collected from the iPhones, like the iPad Pros, says Prosser, will be heavily leveraged to improve Apple Glass. Watch my videos to learn more about those leaks. I forget which way the link shows up. Is it over here? Does it hit my duck? So the iPhone 12 Pros will have a camera array that looks like this, with the wide angle, the ultra wide angle, the telephoto, and the LiDAR sensor, giving you a nice symmetrical array. The iPhone 12 will get the same camera types as the iPhone 11, the standard wide angle and the ultra wide angle. Here's a point of some controversy. All the camera sensors are likely to stay at 12 megapixels, not jump to 64. I mean, did we really think Apple was going to jump straight to 64 this year without some harder evidence? Really? 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 But still expect many improvements. I'm already getting hot and bothered just thinking about Phil Schiller and his photography extra credit assignments.
We challenged our engineering team to do as an extra credit project.
Oh, how many more days? So buckle up. On the pros, we are expecting 2 to 3 times faster autofocus, a more refined portrait mode, a 3x instead of 2x optical zoom on the telephoto lens, which is a Pro exclusive, a bunch of low light improvements benefiting from LiDAR, including improved subject detection, electronic image stabilization, slow motion, long exposure photos. Other improvements include the possibility of a sensor shift stabilization on the ultra wide angle, which would bring a significant boost to image quality on that camera. This would be a physical stabilization of the sensor itself, which gets you better results than stabilization through software or algorithms. This would be a nice rounding out, as the wide angle and telephoto lens already have optical stabilization. To be honest, I imagine some of these improvements will be coming to some degree to the non-Pro models, as we may be getting improved sensors, and all models will benefit from refinements to algorithms powered by the more powerful A14. But having LiDAR will likely take some of these improvements to a completely new level, in particular portrait mode, where separating the foreground and background is really important. All these camera details are just stressing me out. Why don't we just save time and wait for the release? No bad thoughts. Bad thoughts. Go away. To complement the improved camera situation, all models are expected to get improved audio zoom and more precise beamforming. This will allow the mics to adjust sensitivity to focus more on your voice. This should have been in the what we're all getting section, so oops. All right, 5G. As mentioned, all models are getting it, but not all models are getting all of it. With 5G, you got 2 networks. Number 1, millimeter wave, the faster network with limited range, most suitable for urban environments where you can get over 1 gigabit speeds, and sub 6 gigahertz. It's slower, but has a longer range and is more suitable for suburban environments. With this network, you can get from 150 to 300 megabyte download speeds. Weinbach reports Apple is expected to reduce the cost of the non-Pro models by only supporting sub 6 gigahertz. This is maybe a big deal if you live in an area where you could have access to millimeter wave. A few other details. The iPhone Pros are expected to get a higher capacity battery to support the 120 Hz ProMotion display. Also, the Pros are getting bumped to 6 gigabytes of RAM. The non-Pros will be stuck with 4 gigabytes. Well, that's about it. If you made it this long, you should probably subscribe and comment and like. I mean, you have to be pretty thirsty if you are still there. Just playing. Gonna wrap this up. As always, catch you on the next one.